We're going to use the MassRollUp pattern that comes with Magic Draw Cameo out of the box to calculate a mass rollup for a section of this structural rocket model. In this case, we're just going to focus on the booster propulsion system. So the first step is to select the element at the top of the rollup, in this case booster propulsion system, right click and then go down to the tools menu, and you see that you've got the opportunity to apply rollup pattern. So click on that, and then there are three patterns that come out of the box: a cost, a mass, and a power rollup. So we're going to select the mass rollup. It automatically checks the box apply recursively, which we want because we want to roll up everything that's beneath this element. And for now, we're going to leave the create measurements and redefine unchecked, but you can do that and it will create value properties or measurements in each of those artifacts or blocks beneath there. So we hit OK. That now applies the roll-up pattern, and it's run using the simulation toolkit. So let's right click on that block again and run the simulation. So it opens up the simulation window. Right now I have that window floating the variables actually, and so right now, so this gives us the opportunity to add mass to that section of the model. So here is the booster propulsion system total mass. It's showing 0. For now, I'm going to leave the engine mass blank because we actually have a part property down here with a multiplicity on it of 1 to many, and there will be 2 engines in this particular specification, so we'll add the mass when we get down to the engine. So the first one is the booster hydraulic system. So we open that up, and the booster hydraulic system has got a mass of 800, and these are purely arbitrary numbers that I've come up with. The booster propellant feed system has got a mass of 500, and then the booster pressurization system has got a mass of 750. The booster purge system has a mass of 600. And now we're down to the engine. So we'll give the mass of the first engine 1,000 pounds, and to add a second instance, right click on that part property and click add value, and so it gives us a second instance of that engine that we can then add mass to. So we'll give that a mass of 1,000, and working our way down to the liquid natural gas tank, that's going to have a mass of 800, and the LO2 tank, mass of 500. And then now we have the solid rocket booster, and there can be 0 of those, or there can be as many as 6. So we'll do the same thing we did with the engine. We'll add a value, and so that will allow us to put in 800 pounds for one of these boosters, but there's 4 of them, so we need to add value, and that gives us a second instance of 800 pounds. Whoops, not 8,000. And we'll do add value, gives us a third instance, 800. And then finally, the last one is a mass of 800. So now you can see at the top we have a total mass roll-up of 9,150 pounds. And right now it's sort of in a volatile state. So for example, if I changed the mass of that liquid natural gas tank to 780, you can see it's dropped the mass overall to 9130. So this is 800. So what's useful here is we can export this as an instance. So what I want to do is to come up here, expand this entire calculation or variable window recursively, and then export as a new instance. So if I click that button there, it's going to export it we've got a package set up for that called rollups. So it's going to dump all the instances into that um, package. So let's go up to the rollups package in the containment tree, and there we see all the instances. But what we want to do is create an instance table that we can then look at these. So if I highlight all the instances and drag them over to this table, it's going to populate it. I don't know why those columns came over, but I'm going to get rid of those. So now we have two columns. One shows the actual mass and one shows the total mass. So obviously for the booster propulsion system we didn't put in a mass, but it has the variable total mass, so that's the roll-up. So you can see that for all the other ones though, that there are mass values associated with them. And this is the roll-up for the booster propulsion system. In theory, I ought to be able to change the mass of one of these components in the table, and it would also change it here and here. But I haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet. I've got a question out to Solius because the video shows that the table is volatile. In other words, it still simulates as long as you've got the mass roll-up thing running. But you can see how you could apply this. There's the mass roll-up pattern parametric diagram. But you can see how you could apply this to any level within the model. So for example, you could go to the launch vehicle, not that one, the launch vehicle itself, and calculate the entire mass of the launch vehicle. We just calculated the roll-up for the booster propulsion system, but you could do a roll-up for the booster and then a roll-up for the launch vehicle itself. So that's a little bit of a look at the mass roll-up, and the next iteration I'll show how we can add measurements to those resource artifacts.